what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of Backspace Nomads. My name is Brian. Of course, my co-host is Monica. Hello, Monica.
Hello, Brian.
On the pod today, we're going to be talking about DLCs before we review the Darkest Dungeon DLC, The Crimson Court. After that, our guest is going to be SkinnedTeen, where she's going to come on and share her time of game and also enroll in the video game drama club with us. So some real quick housekeeping.
I'm so excited. I am so excited.
It's gonna be ridiculous. Some quick housekeeping before we jump into the pod. Social media stuff for us. You can find us on Twitter at Backspace Nomads, Facebook at Backspace Nomads, and Instagram the same, Backspace Nomads. If you want to get on there with any of us, please do so. We get kind of weird sometimes. I think some of our tweets get people questionable, like why are these people even on Twitter? So if you want to be part of that, do so.
Are you talking about your selfies?
Yeah, these selfies. And, I'm sorry to every guest that's come on here. You've gotten a drunk selfie after you've done the pod.
You can't say that because now Jade, SkinnedTeen, is going to expect a drunk selfie tonight. Always going to get it? Are you always going to provide this?
She might. I mean, if I start it, I have to finish it. I commit to things. You know me. I don't half-ass my drunk selfies.
Yeah, I don't half-ass things either.
No, not at all. Speaking of which, not half-assing anything, we wanted to talk to you. We started streaming here on the channel more consistently. On Thursday nights, I take up the streaming for the channel where I play a game, and then on Fridays, you get Miss Comic Sans, Monica, hosting the streams. So if you want to check us out, there's Thursdays and Fridays starting around 10 o'clock at night is usually when we start streaming. Please follow the channel, hang around for that if you'd like. It's all up to you. So let's jump into the first topic of the night. We're reviewing Darkest Dungeon DLC, so we were kind of just talking about DLCs in general this week, and it kind of snowballed in this discussion that we wanted to bring on the podcast, just in generally about like what DLCs are, how we've gotten to some really bad places with them, and then how we've gotten the majestic, fantastic releases that have enlightened video games. I think the thing that most kept coming up to us was EA.
So we were trying to figure out like what makes a good DLC and what makes a bad DLC, and of course that type of homework just requires Google, as well as our own personal experiences. But most of the DLCs that I have purchased in my gaming life I knew they were going to be good. Mm-hmm. So I knew what I was getting myself into. I had very high expectations, and those were always met. So like, what makes a bad DLC? Because I know that they exist out there, but like, what does that really entail? And it was hilarious because EA was just like on every like shit DLC list known to man. And I didn't realize how big of a problem they have with DLCs.
They have an addiction, dude. An addiction.
They're addicted. And how much, Brian, how much money did it say that they had made? Was that much in the past year?
Yeah, they were on track for the year. I think it was 2016. They were on track during that reporting of that article to have $1 billion with a B, $1 billion in revenue from their DLCs.
From their DLCs, right. So like looking into some of the DLCs that they have put out there, and like the issues with them, you know, it really, I guess it really broadened my horizons on what can go wrong when you're buying downloadable content. And like one of them, for instance, was Tiger Woods PGA Tour 13. It was like the way that it was described is that buying that game was just an entry ticket to golf.
You bought the main menu is what you bought.
You bought the main menu.
It was very beautiful.
But if you really wanted anything else, now this wasn't necessarily a DLC, but like they didn't straight up call it that, but it truly was limited to the point where they said like, yeah, you can unlock these other courses, but it would have taken years to do this, right?
Yep. Like, so, you don't got that kind of time. Like, no one does. And they know that. They exploit you.
Right.
I think, personally, for me, EA, the biggest issue I've ever had with them was their Mass Effect 3 the day one DLC nonsense that they do, where they introduced the. Did you ever play Mass Effect?
No, actually.
There's like a mysterious race in the first two Mass Effects called the Protheans. They're like the forerunners before like all the other alien races. And they have a day one DLC in the third one where a Prothean joins your group, which one is a major spoiler for the game in general to be putting out there. And then it's just the day one DLCs. It is EA's business model to give you a day one DLC now, and I don't understand it.
Right. Another really good one, and I think that this is almost just conversational for me, because I'm thinking about this from a perspective of like, who's this desperate to see these nipples? But the Saboteur had a $5 DLC, and basically you were able to see the stripper's nipples. That was also EA.
I've paid way more to see strippers' nipples, so that's kind of a bargain.
It was owned by EA at the time. The developer was owned by EA. But, well, I guess it's a bargain. Yeah. But, like, and I guess you're not, like, well, at least in the States, you're not allowed to touch. So, like, it's kind of the same, maybe. I don't know.
Just rubbing your monitor. Like, oh, yeah. Like,
I don't know. It just seems like such an expensive $5. Like, what are you really getting out of it? And I guess I've never just seen like something covered up and thought like, I need to pay money to see more of that. I've just been like, well, I know where I can go see more of something similar to that.
You've never been like a horny 13-year-old boy in your life. You've never been there.
I've never been a horny 13-year-old boy in my life, desperate to see some 3D nips.
And let's be honest, like, you're not going to be getting to that billion mark if you're giving away free nipples. EA knows what they're doing.
Yep. But I guess alongside that, I feel like there are a lot of really great. I mean, are there any else out there, Brian, that you wanted to hit on from EA? Oh, you know what? Really fast, it seemed like there was a plethora of reasons why a DLC could be really bad. Some of them actually, like people were talking about with Destiny, they actually took content away that you originally once had, and then they turned that into a DLC and made you pay for it. So it's just like the content's either bad, the content should have been there because it really wasn't a whole game without it, or they just take content that you really like and make you pay for it later. All reasons why a DLC is not so phenomenal.
Yeah, I generally like stay away from DLCs in my life, and it is because I don't like to pay for more content. I am a freeloader. I would like developers to keep spending millions of dollars on me, and I just like take their stuff. The most of the DLCs I've ever bought, and I guess they're classified as DLC, are like expansion packs for MMOs. And I think like my favorite DLC expansion I've ever played would have to be this game, Dark Age of Camelot, which I've talked about on the pod before, which was like my beloved MMO. It was like their first expansion, I think it was. It's called Shrouded Isle, and like it added everything you would want in a DLC. It added classes of the game, new regions, new game mechanics. It did everything to lift the game to a higher level and gave you way more content than I think it was like $20 at the time. It gave you more content than the $20 worth, you know? So that's my favorite DLC of all time. What about you?
Mine is by far and away, and this is a little bit more recent, but whatever. By far and away, Hearts and Stone and Blood and Wine, that was with Witcher 3. You know, it was about 20 to 30 hours additional content with those storylines, brand new characters, brand new story plots, complete endings. And I think the thing that, like, you know, you could easily say, like, well, why didn't they just include those? Like, why didn't they just include those? The real, like, the game itself already had, like, 100 to 200 hours worth of content if you wanted to do everything. Yeah. So but those were all, like, tiny, you know, little one-off where you're helping some farmer catch pigs and those types of things. These were true storylines that almost would have taken away from the main storyline within Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And so I was very excited about these. It was $25 for both. And between the two, it added, like I said, about 20 to 30 hours worth of content. and I loved it, and I'm so glad. But I also felt like I was playing another game. It felt they did a good enough job with these DLCs that I felt like I was playing truly another game. It wasn't an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new dynamic. It was a new story. Everything was brand new. So
yeah,
it was really awesome.
I remember staying away from that DLC because I thought to myself, like, I don't got that kind of time. I can't get back into that. Like, it's going to eat so much time away from me.
Right, right.
So now that we kind of cover what we think like our good DLCs are, let's jump into the Darkest Dungeon in our review of the Crimson Court.
Yes.
The Crimson Court is the first expansion for the award-winning grim and gothic RPG by Red Hook Studios. The Crimson Court enhances any Darkest Dungeon campaign with the addition of a new storyline, a dungeon, a new hero class, new monsters, new bosses, and the Fanatic, a wandering mini-boss. There's also trinkets for every heroes, new buildings, and more. It was released June 19th, 2017 from Red Hook Studios for $9.99. How do you want to approach this? Do we do our expectations first? Like,
no, I've already played this. So Darkest Dungeons, I had this game when it was out in early access, and I checked before I started playing with the DLC, and I already had like 116 hours in.
Ooh.
So I didn't. My expectations for this was I just downloaded it, and I'm like, okay, what's next? And what's crazy, and I was talking to you about this, Brian, before the show, but like, what is crazy is that I wasn't really 100% sure what was the DLC and what was just things that I hadn't seen come out yet since they did the full release.
Yeah.
I had played this so heavily in early access.
Sure.
So there's already, like, I think, without sidetracking too much here, Darkest Dungeon is one of the early access games that I've purchased that did a phenomenal job creating content, keeping to a schedule, and putting out a product that was enjoyable from the time it came out to the time it was, full release.
Yep. I'm right there with you. Like, it is the model for like Kickstarter early access. If they set the standard that like a lot of people just simply don't reach. So going into it, like I played a lot of Darkest Dungeon just like you. I think I booted up a lot of Twitch streams getting ready for this just to kind of check out the dungeons and the expansions before I jumped in. And I think like the biggest point I want to hit for my expectations is if you're a Twitch streamer and you're streaming Darkest Dungeon, can you stay away from the dankest pun? Like, we get it. It rhymes with darkest. Like, it's done with. Everyone's done it. Just stop. It's offensive at this point. Like,
is that your trigger? Is
yes.
that your trigger now?
Yes.
Dank. Oh man.
And if you get,
now that I know your weakness,
well, if
you're fucking screwed.
If you get a really good dank in somewhere and like it's fitting and it's out of nowhere, you'll hit me and it'll be good. But if you're sitting on Twitch trying to find your fucking title. And you're like, ooh, dankest. Okay, I can do this. And
look, Brian, I'm not going to use this in a clever way. I'm just going to follow you around and just say dankest dungeon, dankest dungeon, dankest dungeon, dankest dungeon. Like, that's how I operate.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited about this now. You don't even know.
But yeah, my expectations were high. I mean, I enjoy the game, and I wanted to see the type of content that they were going to be including and what it was going to bring to the game.
Yeah.
So I was excited about it.
All right, let's kind of move into the things we liked about this game. What were some of the better points that you were experiencing in the DLC?
Okay, so, one of the things I want to talk about with this DLC, it's definitely an expansion of the game itself. It's including a new class, new enemies, a new area. But it's following the same format outside of this Crimson Curse that takes place. And just so for people that haven't played this, I think we should describe a little bit of what this game is. Okay.
So like Darkest Dungeon is a game where it's centered around building a party of 4 members. And you take your 4 members on these randomly generated dungeons. It is a turn-based strategy game similar to XCOM, but without like the action. It's more of a old school RPG look to it, where you got your good guys on one side and the enemies on the other side.
Yeah.
You get items. You have to manage not just the items in your inventory, but also which players you have will live and die throughout the thing, because losing members of your team is part of this game.
And it's very punishing, and the art is on point, the music is on point, the narration is on point.
Completely unique.
A little grindy, but an enjoyable grind. We all know that life.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of us.
We all enjoy the grind.
Some of us like a good grind, you know?
Yeah.
And so this in general is just a really fantastic game. What the DLC brings is just a new, like we said, a new class, a new area. And so jumping into the new area the first time, I was like, where's the layout? What happened? Like this dungeon. So typically you see the entire dungeon floor and you can kind of map out what you want to do. I jumped in and I was like, 2 rooms? What a piece of cake.
I got
Not realizing that when I got to the second room, this was my first experience in the new area. When I got to the second room, it just expands. And then I had no clue how long it was going to go for.
Yeah.
And I had no clue what was going to happen next. And then, so like one of the things I really loved about that was it totally changed my comfort level.
Yeah.
That it was odd how much it changed my comfort level. Because I couldn't just plan it out how I wanted to. Everything was brand new. So I guess I love the way that they treated that new area. I think out of the DLC, the new area was my favorite. I liked the new enemies. I liked the difficulty that those enemies presented. I like the fact that there's now a boss that just can randomly show up, which, by the way, I ran into him the first dungeon. I thought I was about ready to be done, and this guy kicked my ass and started killing all my people. It was infuriating. But I liked it.
I not to jump around ahead of myself on here, but that's kind of something I disliked about this DLC, was how everything was hidden from you. I think Darkest Dungeon is the planning aspect is my favorite thing, so I wasn't a fan of the mystery of the new dungeon and where everything was.
I was a fan of the shock that I felt when I was like running in. The rooms just kept going.
Right.
I started, they get paranoia in the game. These characters can have these negative attributes attached to them when they get too stressed out. So you're always managing stress in this game of your characters and of your party. And I started getting paranoid. So that's when shit hit the fan. When I'm paranoid and I've got my party's getting paranoid, it's like nothing was going well.
Right. One of the things I really loved about this expansion was the Flagrant. Is that how you pronounce the name of the new class? The Flagellant?
The Flatulent.
The Flatulent?
No, that's not.
I know. Now we're just making shitty puns, too. We're part of the problem. He was a really good addition of a class. His mechanics are completely unique.
I hated him.
Why? He's so good, dude.
He's too hard.
No. You have to use his HP, and the lower his HP goes, the more powerful he gets, and you have to manage that. And that is such a fun mechanic for me. I don't know, where you are on that. How do you not like that? When he gets down to, 25%, he's like a beast, and he's killing everybody, then he's healing himself.
Yeah, that part is cool, but I don't know. He was just one of the more complicated, relationships in this game. I feel and I just don't like complicated relationships,
I like a simple man like the Crusader, okay?
I fucking love the Crusader. Come here, Reynald.
Reynald is my man. What else do you like about this expansion?
So it's weird. There was not one thing I particularly hated, and there was not one thing I particularly loved about the DLC.
Right.
Because everything that I enjoyed, I also hated. Because everything that they added in was just more punishing. I guess I enjoyed the shock factor. I enjoyed when I used to play this actively, it's I got to the point where you couldn't really faze me. I would run into a new boss and I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
And I might lose a couple characters, but I was fine with that because I normally named them after people that I knew, and I just killed off the ones that I didn't really like.
Oops.
So, oh wait, I'm sorry. Hopefully no one's listening to this. But like I was fine with it. The DLC definitely added these layers of complexity to the situation that I was just like not ready for. A part of me was like, I want the old way. I want to be good at this. I don't want these problems. Give me Reynald and just give me like a mushroom fungus plant thing that I need to fight. Like that's what I want in life. So in that vein, the Crimson Curse, it was frustrating to manage it. It was enjoyable, I think, but I was also just like screaming. I mean, I played this a lot even today, and there was one point where I got up and I was just like, "That's it. I'm gonna go get watermelon." Because I just needed to treat myself.
Needed a refresher.
Nice. I needed something nice and refreshing to be able to deal with the pain I was feeling from trying to manage this Crimson Curse.
Sure.
And it's not like it's any easier to get money in this game. You use money to like buy better gear, and you use money to like help your people go get whipped, or go get a whore at the brothel, or go get drunk so that they can relieve some stress. It's not like you're getting any extra money, so like managing these curses and everything was just, it was difficult.
It was. Before I move on to like what things I really disliked about this, very briefly I want to touch on the district, a part of the DLC. I wasn't able to play the game long enough to get and invest in the districts, but I love the idea. What it does, it adds on in-game content, so there's a reason to grind this game and really build up your inventory and your collection. And these things will add new stats to your characters, will give you better torches, like things like that. I think the districts was a fantastic stroke by the Red Hook. But moving into the things that we disliked about this game, kind of, because we're already been hovering around it. I think you're touching on the Crimson Curse. The blood mechanic is the worst thing that this game has ever done to me.
Did you like it though?
I hated it. Hated it.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely hated it, because what it did. Normally, there is this place called the Hamlet in Darkest Dungeon, and the Hamlet is like your sanctuary. It's your home base. Nothing can happen to you there. You go there, manage your team. They can they can stay there, relieve their stress. What this Crimson Curse does is that people get randomly infected while you're in the DLC zones with this Crimson Curse, and then they can come back to the Hamlet, and they can infect. I guess it's airborne or by touch. I don't know.
It's from that brothel, man.
From the brothel. It's medieval times. You know, the lambs aren't around in this game, I guess. So they are spreading this curse around, and you can lose your entire party. And I did to this curse because I didn't know how to manage the blood mechanic. And all this was thrown at me so early into the game. I had no way to manage it, and I had to like completely restart my run. So I wasn't able to get into like further into the DLC as I wanted to, because my run was just destroyed. Having this thing come back to the Hamlet and having you manage it is such a game-changing move to this game, and I completely dislike it. And it makes me like, you get to load what aspects you want from the DLC, kind of, and I do not want this when I play it again.
Right, I can see that. I feel like they started tiptoeing around this even before, though. When they were in early access, they started including like, you know, you could get negative attributes on your characters on your party members. I keep saying characters, party members, whatever. You could get negative attributes attached to them. Even just like if they drank too much, they could be like drunk, or for multiple days you wouldn't be able to use them or whatever. They started making Hamlet not this just like total sweet like vacation spot early on, but this does take it to an entirely new level.
Like
it really does.
Your party can die just sitting at the Hamlet now.
Right.
And that's it makes managing the Hamlet and managing everyone's, like, first off, the blood like you can manage the Crimson Curse with these blood drops, which are completely random. So you have
random drops on quests.
Yeah, so you can randomly get these to help manage it. And like it takes the Hamlet from being a strategy point where I can like rest characters to a point where it really did make it feel like a sluggish grind and just frustrating and not fun. And I really was surprised by that.
You sound like a weenie.
Come on, Monica. Stop. I just didn't like the game, okay?
No, I agree with you. The management of the Crimson Curse was something where it was just like, it made me feel emotions, which I like. You know, I like when a game makes me feel things. I would prefer it to not be rage.
Yeah.
All, you know, for hours on end. But I can deal with that. At least I'm feeling something, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Everything on this was just like up and down for me. But I feel like that is this game, and I feel like that's the beauty of it. But I can get behind you by saying that the management of the Crimson Curse is extremely brutal. It adds this. It is, when you play this, you become the flagellant because you feel like you're just fucking whipping it off. You know
Yes.
what I mean? But the like I said, the only thing the management of the Crimson Curse just felt challenging to me. Like I really wanted to be able to master it. The flagellant class, I wasn't a huge fan of it, like I said. So that was kind of the only thing in the DLC that I didn't really enjoy. But I guess to cap off what I didn't like about it is $10 edition. You know, I do think that the content that it adds is fun, and I love this game already.
Yeah.
So, like, I love supporting them. I love supporting what they do. But I just don't know that the DLC content was anything that I needed, you know, looking back. Like, it's like, did I really need this? Am I completely stoked that I have this DLC? I'm on the fence with that.
Okay, so give me a thumbs up, thumbs down on this sucker.
I am, don't kill me, people, but I am actually going to be a thumbs down on this.
Whoa.
I do love Darkest Dungeon, but as a DLC, this was an expansion. It was a good one even. It was a good DLC, but for me personally, I didn't need it. I didn't need this in this game.
Right.
What about you?
I'm going to go thumbs up. It's not that I didn't need it, but it definitely got me to pick up Darkest Dungeon again. It got me re-interested in the game. I hate the mechanic of the curse. I think they're already starting to change it. They're pretty responsive to feedback from the community. I think they'll change it a little bit, hopefully, even with that. I do think for $10, if you're a Darkest Dungeon fan, you're getting into the Crimson Curse. You want the more content. The Districts is a great end-game content for that, where you can really put the time in and have it pay off. So thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I guess I am a huge fan of the Darkest Dungeon. So even though I'm not madly in love with the DLC, I would have bought it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like one of those things where it's like I'm a super fan, so I have to like have it just to prove that I enjoy.
You're a
the game.
gatekeeper.
I am. I'm just a little hipster when it comes to this one. But I also I'm glad that I own it, but I think just like the vanilla Darkest Dungeon, it does it for me, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It's like we expanded into some like weird stuff with it, and it's like, oh, let's try something new. And I'm like, you know what? I like you just the way you are.
I like missionary, okay? Let's just keep going missionary, Darkest Dungeon.
You took it there.
What?
I was beating around the bush, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, no. All right, so Darkest Dungeon, thumbs up, thumbs down from us. You can find it on Steam for $10, $9.99 from Red Heck Studios. We're going to go to intermission, and when we come back, SkinnedTeen is joining Backspace Nomads. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you for sitting through that break, Nomads. Welcome back to the podcast. Coming on the podcast this week, the very cool SkinnedTeen. You can find SkinnedTeen on Twitter at @HiI'mJade or on YouTube and Twitch at /SkinnedTeen. On Twitch, you can find her live 5 to 6 days a week starting at 9 p.m. CST. Welcome to the podcast. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jade.
Hello.
Jade, what have you been doing lately? What did you eat today?
What did I eat today? What did I eat today? I tried and failed to make an omelet, so became a scramble.
I've never made an omelet.
But it was good.
Good.
Yeah. It was the simple cheese one. I don't know about you guys, but I've never really been able to perfect the egg flip. Like maybe twice in my life.
No.
I thought I had it nailed. And so today I Googled Jamie Oliver, he'll know, and I did exactly what he said. And the fucking thing just didn't.
And it turned into a scramble.
Yeah. I flipped half of it and it tore and I went, well, and I just threw everything in the pan. It was still good.
Yeah, you just need spray butter and lots of confidence. Don't be a hero. Just spray butter that pan down.
Spray butter and lots of confidence. That sounds
Yeah.
like the intro to most good experiences.
Yeah. So how'd you get into Twitch?
How did I get into Twitch? It started a long time ago when I had a lot of time on my hands, and this friend of mine, who a lot of people know, she plays a lot of games with me, Echo. She was like, "You should get into this streaming thing," and this was back when Justin TV was a thing. She's like, "I have this friend, he plays a lot of StarCraft, and he's really good at it, and he'll commentate, and it's a thing." And she said it in a different way. I'm paraphrasing, but when she got done stating her case, I was like, I have no idea what you just said to me. And so I kind of checked it out, and I was like, why would anybody watch that? I'm not he's pro level StarCraft. I don't know what I'm doing in games. But as time went on, I started to watch Twitch a couple years later, and I stumbled across, of course, as many of us do, we have our staples, whether it's Lethal Frag or Dan or Man. Mine was Man. Started watching Man versus Game, and I was I just would watch it when I was working, but then I started paying more attention and getting involved in the community, and I thought, I wouldn't mind trying this. I have an extensive backlog, and I never, ever finish these games. So my idea was just, I will do this. I'm really into production. I might as well just add that in, but also finish games. Finish them. And so the first two games I played were Witcher 1 and 2, which that's a feat within itself. But
yes.
Yeah.
It is. That very much is.
That's kind of how I got into Twitch, and it was purely a hobby because I had a full-time job. But it snowballed, it very quickly took off in a way I wasn't expecting. So I'm a full-time streamer now. That's all I do for my job, yeah.
What have you been playing lately?
I've been playing Dark Souls 2. Which is traveling to Australia on 2 hours of sleep with jet lag at this point. So I'm playing Scholar of the First Sin. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with, if you've played any Dark Souls, but...
Yes.
I have dabbled.
Yeah, I mean, it's like slamming your genitals into a car door anyways.
It is.
But Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin kind of took that, they watched speedrunners and they were like, they make this look easy. Let's add a bunch of shit in the middle of it and make it just irritating. And that's how it is. Plus the DLC. So I'm slogging my way through that. I'm almost done, I think. Yeah.
You did to yourself.
Yeah, I know. Well, I love Dark Souls, but then I got to Dark Souls 2. I've played all of them. I've just never done the DLC.
Sure.
For them, so I'm at this point where I'm like, why did I do this? So I'm playing that. I was playing some Darkest Dungeon, which you guys just reviewed. I would mostly agree. I think the Crimson Curse is interesting.
Very interesting,
to manage. And because I'm playing, I name all of the people after subscribers. And a lot of the times they'll be like, "Don't kill us," and I'm like, "I'm gonna kill you." Yeah. I'm a little more reckless. It's more fun.
I love yelling at them.
Yeah.
It's so great because it's like all the things you've been wanting to say. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, that's not really what I mean, I swear.
Are you?
She named all of them after Brian.
They're all named Brian.
I know, just 4 flagellants named Brian.
So I've been playing that, and then off stream I've been playing a ton of PUBG. It's consumed my life almost entirely. Yeah. And then I also play Ark with my Patreon supporters, and I do something every Tuesday called Try It Tuesday, where I will play 1 to 3 just random games, either ones that are sent to me or ones that I know are going to be bad, and I want to play a bad game on purpose.
Dude, I want to check your channel out. Like, I didn't know about you until like you were suggested to come on as a guest, and you have like interesting sounding content. I want to check out Try It Tuesday.
I do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, one of them, JT Yankees is in the chat, and he donated a game called Soda Drinker Pro, which is less of a game and more of an experience.
Pro.
Yeah, you're literally just walking around. There's like no point. Like the game is inside of a part of one of the levels, but otherwise, if you get out of that, you're just progressing through each stage, drinking soda, and there's this voice in the background going, "God, I wish the ocean were a soda."
What?
And stuff like that. Stuff like that. Bonus. You pick up a soda and it goes, bonus soda. This is the kind of stuff that I do,
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. There's a game that came out not long ago. Maybe you've played it, but you can either be the baby or the dad, and the baby's constantly trying to get itself into situations where it's going to die.
But I have it. I am familiar with it.
Okay, yeah. I'm just like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh... Game of the year! Game of the year!
Yep. I play a lot. Right. I play a lot of stuff like that. There was one that I played where you were a cat that just had to knock stuff off of a counter. I can't remember. I think it was called Kitten Rampage.
Oh, yeah. Catastrophe or something. Or, I don't know. But I think I know what you're talking about.
There's a few of them.
Like,
yeah. No, I play all kinds of stuff like that. And then, awesome. I really, really like horror games. So, like, when I am between certain things, I'll pick up, like, an old classic that I missed during, like, a period of my life. Like, people were stunned that I hadn't played, like, Silent Hill 1 and 2 and stuff. And I'm like, listen, I had my 20s.
Right.
I had to get out, you know?
Yep.
Anyway, that's
awesome.
That's what I do. Pure variety. So,
we're gonna jump. I need to jump into my director's chair. Oh, I just did. Okay, great.
Allow me to close my eyes real quick.
That was stunning.
That just happened, everybody. We're trying out a new segment. This is the first time we've done this, and I'm just like really excited about it. I don't know why. I think it's just because I was never accepted into the Drama Geek group, and I desperately wanted to be. But so we're going to be trying out a new segment, and it's basically drama clubs. So we have a script here. It's from Red Dead Redemption. I am the director, and we have our 2 actors here,
Hello.
Ryan and Jade, playing John Marston and Bonnie McFarlane. And they are going to be going through a scene from the game, so they both have their scripts. And so are you guys ready? You know, we're in the like west. You know, you're
it's very dry, very humid.
It's dry. Did you just say dry and humid?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. It's very dry
it's a mixture of the two. So it's normal
it's very
outside,
nice.
but
it's very normal. And Ryan's walking up the dirt, not even a driveway, it's just the path to the house. And Bonnie is sitting on the stairs, and she just sees him and ready, set, action.
Oh, my I was sincerely kind of hoping that it would be flipped around, but here we go. Mr. Marston, I've been hearing about your plans.
Oh, have you, Miss McFarland?
Yes.
Cut. No laughing. What?
Okay.
Okay. I'm so sorry. No laughing, Brian.
I'm sorry.
This is serious.
All right,
we need to get through this.
You want me to take it
Don't
from my
you
line?
Jimmy Fallon this up.
Don't do it. All right. Okay.
All right.
You know,
I'll take it. You want to take it from the top or from my line?
Take it from the top. Take
All
it
right.
from the top. Sorry, Jade. Sorry. Let's get this. Bonnie and John, let's go.
Mr. Marston, I've been hearing about your plans.
Have you, Miss McFarland?
Yes, from Lee Johnson, to settle here and build a life for yourself.
I'm afraid those aren't my plans. You see, I already have a life. Well, I had one, and I'm trying to reclaim it. Or maybe what you could say is I had two, and I am trying to end one of them so the other can survive.
You do love to talk in riddles, Mr. Marston. Do you do that, I wonder, as a substitute for having anything interesting to say?
Probably, Miss McFarland.
Oh, call me Bonnie, you fool. Call me Bonnie.
Miss McFarland, I am married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode with a gang. We robbed banks, trains, and held people ransom.
Okay, cut. Brian, I hate to do this to you.
All right.
Start from the scene. But you guys are arguing, and now you're going into a scene where you're starting to feel things, man.
What kind
You're
of things?
feeling, and you're just
Good.
I don't know. You tell me, you're the actor here. You got feelings. You're about to go into your deep. You're gonna start just. You're basically starting to just vomit your entire life story. Like for some reason, her calling you a fool has you in a very you're in a very concerned spot with yourself, right? You're like, am I a fool? Okay, well let me just tell you about me so that you'll like me. You know?
Gotcha.
All right, let's start from right there.
All right.
Actually, Jade, can you start with your last segment? Oh, call me Bonnie.
Call me Bonnie, you fool! Call me Bonnie.
Miss McFarland, I am married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode in a gang. We robbed banks, trains, held people ransom. We killed people we didn't like. Bill Williamson was in that gang. Now, if I don't capture my former brother in arms, great harm will befell my family. I suppose this isn't very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I do understand. I had no idea. You poor man.
Even in this country, memories really don't fade. My father was an illiterate Scot-born on a boat headed to New York. He never saw his homeland, but to hear him talk about it, you'd imagine he only ate haggis or wore a kilt. And he hated the English for what they had done to his great-grandparents, and they never met. People don't forget. Nothing gets forgiven.
That's true. Especially when it comes to money. And, you know, even now, after all his labors, my father's debts are still terrible. I worry every day about us losing the ranch. It would kill him.
My father died when I was 8 years old.
This is like a one-up scene. Okay.
His eyes were... All right, I'm sorry. Director, you took me out of it.
I'm sorry.
I was here. I was sad. I was emotional.
I've been drinking.
Be professionals.
I'm a bad director. I'm a very bad director.
All right, here we go. Am I on course? Am I doing what you want me to do?
Well, yeah, no, you're doing
Jesus
great.
Christ.
You are doing great.
You're really laying it out there. Now you're like...
Now you're just too sad.
Now you're like, my brother died when he was 8, and my mom was a hooker, and
Yep, you're almost there. But
right.
Soon you're gonna be like, you know, you've gotten her sympathies, so now you're past that point. That's gonna happen soon, though. But
okay.
Let's pick it from that one. Take
All right.
3.
Well, my father died when I was 8 years old. His eyes were, well, let's just say he was a blind into the bonfire south of Chicago. My mother died during childbirth. She's a prostitute. We'll talk about that. And he was, well, I don't know what he was till I was sent off to an orphanage, and ran away and fell in with a gang.
I imagine your father was John, just like the rest of them. But my word, what a difficult life you've lived.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read, taught me how to see all that was good in the world. He's a great man in a way.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I have suffered for it. And that's the life I left, or tried to leave. I've said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated killer, sitting here to do all I could do well, kill a man in cold blood, so that another man may do his part to cut crime in the area, and a rich man can be elected governor on the back of these promises.
Civilization is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston. Listen. Can you help me?
Well, I can try. What do you need? Money?
Oh, no, nothing so complicated. I need an extra hand to take out the herd to pasture.
Sure. Point me in the right direction.
Oh, yes!
You should have really just...
Yes.
Yeah. Sure, I'll help. Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm crying tears. It was so touching. just everything is so beautiful. You guys really,
All right.
really, this is going to be a great game. I can tell.
So, do you want to...
By the way, if anyone, whoever listens to this, if you're wanting these voice actors,
Please.
Yeah.
Hit up our emails.
oh, shit. All right.
But you can jump on our YouTube. We're going to upload that scene that we did there in the video form. We also have it here to watch. You guys want to watch it?
Yeah, let's watch it.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but I'll play it for the cast.
We should watch it if we can't hear it.
Yeah, should we play it for the cast and then we come back, we'll do time of game?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. We're going to play the scene that we just did, and when we come back from that, SkinnedTeen was going to be sharing with us time of game. It's only going to be like 3 minutes.
Behold the emotion in my face
All right.
while I deliver these lines.
To be honest, I think you guys did better than actually.
Mr. Marston, I've been hearing about your plans.
Have you, Miss McFarland?
Yes, from Lee Johnson. To settle here and build a life for yourself.
I'm afraid those aren't my plans. See, I already have a life. Well, I had one, and I'm trying to reclaim it. Or maybe what you could say is I had two, and I'm trying to end one of them so the other can survive.
You do so love to talk in riddles, Mr. Marston. Do you do that, I wonder, as a substitute for having anything interesting to say?
Probably, Miss McFarland.
Oh, call me Bonnie, you fool. Call me Bonnie.
Miss McFarland, I'm married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode in a gang. We robbed banks, trains, held people ransom. We killed people we didn't like. Bill Williamson was in that gang. Now, if I don't capture my former brother in arms, great harm will befall my family. Now, I don't suppose any of this is very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
No, I do understand. I had no idea. You poor man.
Even in this new country, memories don't really fade. My father was an illiterate Scot born on the boat into New York. He never saw his homeland, but to hear him talk about it, you'd imagine he only ever ate haggis and wore a kilt. And he hated the English for what they had done to his great-grandparents that he'd never met. People don't forget. Nothing gets forgiven.
That's true. Especially when it comes to money. And you know, even now, after all his labors, my father's debts are still terrible. I worry every day about us losing the ranch. It would kill him.
My father died when I was 8 years old. His eyes were, well, Let's just say he was blinded in a bar fight south of Chicago. My mother died during childbirth. She was a prostitute, and he was her... Well, I don't know what he was. So I was sent off to an orphanage and ran away and fell in with a gang.
My word. What a difficult life you've lived.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read, taught me how to see all that was good in the world. He was a great man in a way.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I've suffered for it. And that's the life I left. I tried to leave. Said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated killer, sent here to do all I can do well. Kill a man in cold blood so that another man may do his part to cut crime in an area, and a rich man can be elected governor on the back of these promises.
Civilization is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston. Listen, can you help me?
Well, I can try. What do you need, money?
No, nothing so complicated. I need an extra hand to take out the herd to pasture.
Sure. Point me in the right direction.
All right, so that was the scene that we just acted out for you, which I guess you didn't need to actually see the scene. We put you there, but just a helpful, thing for you guys. So SkinnedTeen now is going to jump in with us and share her time of game. Monica, you want to...
Yeah, so the time of game, most of you know by now, but, it's where we take a slice of a gamer's life, and really it's just we're focused on things that have happened in their life with a game running almost in the background. And so, Jade, thanks so much, SkinnedTeen, for coming on, and what is your time of game?
My time of game. See, I had to think about this for a while because there were a bunch of different options, and I wasn't sure which one would really fit the best, but it's probably going to have to be the summer of Friday the 13th, and I'm talking the NES version.
You're like, it actually happened last
from
week.
Forever ago. Not the multiplayer re-release, but the old NES version. And this really, it spans beyond a summer because it was I used to, the year was like 2004, I'd say.
Okay.
And I was kind of convinced that I needed to be going out more and having this budding active social life because I'd spent most of my teen years just indoors on the internet. And I had a ton of friends, but it's hard to explain, me and my friends were doing this cool thing, but it was like back then it was like, you were what now? On the internet? You nerd. Like,
yeah, when all of your friends are people that live in different states and you're 16 or 17.
Yeah. It's more commonplace
really,
now, but
yeah, exactly.
Back when I was growing up, back in my day,
back in the formative years,
it was a lot less commonplace. And I still talk to Echo, who I referenced. We still talk and play games today. Anyways, that's beside the point. So into my 20s, I'm thinking I need to get out, have this more active, budding social life. I'm 21. Woo, booze, like let's go. So I have friends in the area, and a lot of them, and by this time, like I say 2014, but this really started near the end of 2013 when my best friend at the time had just turned 21, and her boyfriend lived in this house, which is kind of the central focus of this story, because everybody partied at this house. They lived in the middle of the city. They didn't have any neighbors, and it was like a hedonist's dream. Like, you could just do whatever there. They were in a band. I passed out there all the time, and really the backdrop, the game, is that I always would end up drunk in the morning playing Friday the 13th in somebody's room because I can't drive home,
Yeah.
So it's a series of stories, and I'll tie it up in the end with the whole, this is what I learned, because I did learn things, it was a really good summer, but it starts back at the end of 2013 when she turns 21, and we're having all these parties, and this particular party that we had was kind of infamous because for some reason by the end of the night, and we had done this a few weeks earlier, but by the end of the night we were lighting shit on fire in the basement and people were skateboarding over it, like and I don't know why.
As you do.
Yeah, like it was just this crazy party, and she wasn't really even enjoying it. One, because I guess her boyfriend at the time had they were having problems, and two, she was stuck upstairs talking to one of the other guys who lived there, who was really depressed or whatever, and he was threatening to do something terrible with a lady bick, and we were like, no, don't do that, but also what? And meanwhile, I'm running around with lighter fluid, and everybody's like, no, Jade's got the and so we're doing that, and I always also, in addition to Friday the 13th, I think of the soundtrack for this entire night was Green Day had a side band that they refused to acknowledge, but it was called The Network, and they sounded like Devo.
I didn't even know about that.
Not me either.
You could look it up, and they have this album called I think it's called Money Money 2020, and
oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, so
yeah, we'll be
all of it sounds like Devo, and it was just on loop that whole night. So that with fire and the whole thing, it was just a very chaotic night. And after that, we just spent all of our time just partying at this house. And it bled into the next summer where July 4th, which just passed here, we're on the porch throwing fireworks into beer bottles, totally safe to do,
Oh, yeah.
and just throwing them out into the chaos of people in the yard who are also lighting off fireworks. It was just and of course I would, the night would become the day, and I'd end up drunk in their house because I can't drive home.
Right.
Playing Friday the 13th on the NES, which had that. It's got this soundtrack that it was irritating, but it was also really catchy. Because the song was just do 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 do, and
So when you were playing this, this was your hungover game. So some people go and they get smoothies, some people get greasy food, and you played Friday the 13th.
It was, are we gonna watch Mr. Show, or are we gonna get a McGriddle and play Friday the 13th?
Right.
I was struggling to remember if they had any other games, but that's the only one that I really
that you can remember. Right?
Remember, yeah, because in coming up with this story, this homework you gave me, I was trying to think back. I'm thinking oh, there was another time when we were drunk playing Yoshi's Cookie, and my friend was yelling at everybody, "You don't know shit about Goombas," and
yeah.
But
What's
that was
Yoshi's
one.
Cookie?
Yoshi's Cookie is kind of like a Tetris style game almost.
Okay.
I can't. There was another one that was really, really similar. I think it was just called Yoshi or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was an isolated incident. So we didn't have a whole story or a lesson around it, other than my friend gets irritated about Goombas, I guess. I don't know.
As you would.
Yeah.
Goombas are assholes.
But yeah, we would. It was just kind of a game that was there, and I always think of it when I think of that summer. Which, I don't know. Do you have more questions?
No. That's awesome. So you, how often were you at this house?
All the time. All the time. Yeah. There was a boy that I liked who lived there, but I also was really good friends with everybody. So it was often, oh, do you want to come over? I have nothing else to really do. Yeah, let's go over, and we get drunk and,
light fires, skateboard over them.
Light fires, skateboard over them, and, watch them do band practice, or we just sit around watching TV. There was a night where we were all watching Children of the Corn and just screaming the lines at each other. Mordecai! Stuff like that.
Did you guys, did everyone game?
I think casually. It wasn't a serious thing. I grew up playing them, and I think a lot of us did, but in my 20s, as I said, I missed out on a lot of games because it kind of fell to the wayside. I always played them a little more casually.
Yeah.
In that period of time, just because I was, I worked and I went to school, and
Yeah.
I was trying to be a social butterfly, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I honestly, I look back at like, you know, kind of similar situations that I've been, but what's weird is that it wasn't like a really like big gaming group. So most of the people that because I had a similar house, you know, there was like the house that you went to, but I was like one of the few people outside of the guys that like really played, and so that's really awesome. That was just kind of like your like hangover, rather than like Advil or whatever. You're just like, all right, let's
kind of just
game on.
It kind of became ritual and I never even really knew what I was doing, like, because it was the cartridge, you know. I didn't have anything else to go off of, so it's like walk around and oh no, Jason's there.
So you had this game. So what's one of the things that happened that summer? Like, what's one experience you had that summer that like is maybe the highlight? I'm sure you have tons of stories.
God,
is it the riding around, like, or like having fires and
that could be it. Like when I was trying to think of something to put into this segment, my mind immediately went to this night that my friend and I ended up at this house, and this was like later in the year, so it wasn't summer, but we had been at like their band had played at this venue, and we went and we called this the night that Gin and Tonic ran us over, because usually her and I, like, we used to drink a whole lot, and really I guess to cut to where the lesson that I learned is that like I got a lot of my wild seeds sown in that period of time, and now I'm a pretty like I will drink, but I just don't drink as much because I did enough puking when I was that age, you know. Yeah. I no longer feel so fresh in the morning when I have a few. I feel like slow death these days when I drink. And you don't got
Friday the 13th to wake up to.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I do. It's different. Yeah. But so yeah, we were out the night Gin and Tonic ran us over. Her and I would pay attention to how, you know, whether or not we were good on drinks. Well, we lost track of each other, so we both got trashed that night. And like a week later, we went over to their house because one of the guys in the band, the one that I liked, was like, "Come hang out," and I was like, "Yeah!" And we went over there, and the reason I bring up this night isn't so much that, but we had been taking pictures that night of a bunch of us hanging out, and in every single picture there was this guy. We called him Waldo because he was in every picture, in the background, every picture. Oh, no. Sometimes he was actually like a part of the picture, and we were like, who is that? Who is he? And he was at the house that night, and we were like, who are you? I don't remember, because she immediately, like, as we were drinking, she was calling him Waldo. I remember a particular moment where we went to, like, Taco Bell or McDonald's or something to get food.
And he worked there.
No, he didn't work there. He was with us in the car. Like, the guy that I had a bit of a crush on drove, and I was in the front seat, and my friend is in the back seat with Waldo. I think he drove her car or something, because what I remember of this is that he was like, Waldo is talking about how she's throwing shoes at me. And then from her end, I just hear this thunk, "Shut up, Waldo!" Like, and like, I don't know. It was just this crazy, chaotic night where people were eating this old food out of the cupboard because it was there, and Waldo's there, and we're like, who is this guy? And as the night like came to this close, she passed out in the guy's bed that I liked, and so the three of us slept in that bed, and she did because she didn't want Waldo anywhere near her.
Right.
Waldo was in that room.
Yeah.
He was in there.
What, though? I think about, when I hear stories like this, I always wonder, like, what's Waldo's take on that night?
Yeah, he's probably
like these mean people. Like, I was just walking around trying to get to know as many people as possible, walking from room to room, and everyone started screaming at me and calling me Waldo.
It was just me and her. He was probably like Luna Lovegood, like, friends, and then those two. You know?
He loved that night. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna believe my night. They gave me a nickname. It was Waldo. Fucking awesome. Like,
I'll never forget that. And like she fell asleep, and then he was like, I'm gonna put Miss Waldo wasn't the guy that I liked. I'm gonna put Miss Doubtfire on, and we watched Miss Doubtfire fell asleep, and she woke up and she's like, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to be in the living room with Waldo. And I'm like, fine, like.
It's okay. That's
thanks for blocking me, Waldo.
That's a fair statement. So ideally, this was like the time that you got all of your like chaos. Well,
pretty much.
Some
I mean,
of your chaos out.
It was the fun years of it. Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of the overall encompassing, like 21, 22. That was the year that I wasn't playing a lot of video games. Friday the 13th is probably one of the only ones I played during that time. But it those were the years where I got a lot of my partying out of the way, and it's not that I can't still get into it now, but I've calmed down considerably just because I can't keep up the way I used to when I was that age, and I'm okay with that.
You can't be sitting around at like 9 the next night and you're like, I'm still hungover. It's like It's still here.
Yeah, like I remember there was another morning where it was the guy's birthday that I liked, and we were up until the morning, and we were all on the porch like throwing beer bottles into the street for some reason. And then they were sweeping them up out of the street. Yeah, and then I went home finally after I had kind of sobered up, and my mom was already awake. It was Mother's Day. And she wanted to go get breakfast or something, and I hadn't slept yet. And so I was like, all right. And we went out, and we were trying to chase like potato pancakes she wanted or something. And I'll never forget getting in the car, and they had just gotten a car from my grandpa. He had passed, and my dad had inherited his car or something, and I guess my grandpa had audiobooks in the glove box. I didn't know this. So we're driving to this next place, and I'm really hungover at this part because I'm fine, but I need to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm to that point, and they've got the audiobook in, and it's this guy who's just Coltrane goes to the, and finally I go, what is with this radio station? And my parents just lost it.
Yeah.
That really has nothing. There's just a collection of stories from that period of time, like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So, so Friday the 13th, you got your craziness out. I don't believe you. When I see you at a convention, we're doing shots. Do you do shots?
That'd be hard to do, but I could do them still. Yeah, I can still do them. Come
on. I mean, I know I just like made myself out to be a lush to you.
Last TwitchCon, we had been out. I organized. Tuesday Gray was there. I know you know her. I organized the karaoke, and she went to it. And I was very drunk. The next day, I got up in the morning. I was supposed to have brunch with a bunch of people, and my alarm starts going off, and everybody in the room was like, "Shut it off!" And I get up, and I immediately run into the wall, and I just fall down, and I'm like, I can't do this. That's where I live.
Yeah,
you know?
This is where my day is now.
Yeah,
right here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time of game and doing an excellent job being Bonnie McFarlane.
Oh, of course.
The best Bonnie McFarlane.
Yeah, the best. Actually, I think you did better than the actual Bonnie McFarlane in the game. So, but yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been awesome having you as our guest. And again, you guys can find her on Twitter. It's Hi, I'm Jade. Or on YouTube, Twitch, and what's the other? That's it, right?
Yep.
And it's SkinnedTeen. Yeah,
yep.
SkinnedTeen. So give her a follow. Go check her out. Obviously, she's got an amazing channel and has a lot of like grade A, AAA titles that she plays on Tuesday. Was it? So
Try it Tuesday,
yeah,
or everybody just calls it tit.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Tit. So please give her a follow and check her out. And thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's going to do it for episode 23 of Backspace Nomads. Bye, everybody.